as a guide to kind of help guide our work, and give us our goals and make sure because we have a very broad reach that we're hitting all the things we need to work on. So could you go to the next slide, please?
Maybe. Just a sec.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. So this is pulled directly from the strategic roadmap, and I'm not going to go over every single thing, but this shows the three different categories of the work. And could you go to the next slide? So I'll talk about a few. So the first thing is the drivers. So the drivers is what are the programs or work that we're doing that's making an impact? So here's a few that was from that list I'll talk about. So the Appalachian Early Childhood Network. What this group does is they support local preschool and kindergarten programs, and they help pay for classroom supplies and teaching materials. I work with a lady locally in Hazard who's runs that board, and I help assist her when she needs to order materials. But it's been a great network. It's made up of I think 4 or 5 counties. But we meet bi-weekly on Zoom, and we can all talk about what's going on in our county. How can we support each other? Can you hear me okay? Okay. Okay,
Yep, I
perfect.
hear you fine.
Okay, awesome. Okay, nonprofit endowments. So, you ask yourself, how is nonprofit endowment supporting and preparing children and youth? But when you think about it, when you create endowed funds, these are things that's going to gain interest and trickle down over the years. So, what you may endow today in 20 years when you have kids, it's going to be so much bigger. And some examples of that is our affiliate endowments. So Joel on the Leslie County Board, you all have an endowment. Missy, good to see you. She's on the Floyd County Board. Scholarship endowments. Some people may not think that a scholarship is a form of endowment, but it is. That lasts throughout time. And then also fiscal sponsor endowments that we work with. Okay. Then lastly, scholarships, which Kaylee's going to talk about later, but our scholarships help make college affordable. This is help giving kids a chance. So next slide, please. Okay, indicators of success. So with those drivers, the programs we work with, we still want to make sure that we're hitting what we need to do and accomplish what we set out to do. So we can use these indicators to tell us, is the programs we're working with successful? Okay, so here's three of those, and I'll go ahead and read out what that looks like. So primary and secondary students with advanced learning and growth opportunities in and out of the school system. Cultural and recreational opportunities widely available and accessible across the region. And students graduate from high school prepared for post-secondary success. Okay, next slide, please. So long-term impact. And this is when we wrote out a quote of what would be the goal of our strategic roadmap in 5 years. What do we want to see? Communities value and encourage learning and curiosity as a priority throughout a person's life, and students across Eastern Kentucky have the same opportunities as others in the state and nation. Okay, next slide. So I have 3 different pictures here I wanted to talk a little bit about that our affiliates have done to help support and prepare children and youth. So this group here, this is in Jackson County. This is a lady, she started an organization called Awesome Like Anderson. So this is her and her son, he has autism. So she decided to start a program to work with the schools to help them have access to sensory friendly items so that these kids with autism in the schools could have a more safe space in the classroom, help them be able to learn better. And these are items that can be used in the classroom, and also the families could rent them like a library and check them out and bring them back. Okay, next slide. Um, Missy and Kathy, you'll recognize this. This is in Floyd County. This is the Burt T. Scholarship. You'll see on the left, we have John Rosenberg, who's a board member of the Floyd County Community Foundation. He started Apple Red Legal Aid. But here's an example of some of the scholarships that the Floyd County Community Foundation were able to give out. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and then again, here's Kathy again in the photo. This was in our Pike County Community Foundation affiliate. They were able to grant $60,000 towards food security because of a generous donor. And this is a way, you know, food security, that's supporting and preparing children and youth. You know, people don't think about how, you know, kids need to eat, things like that. It just, we need those things just for kids to be successful. So, yeah, that's all I have for now. If there's anyone who has a question, just let me know.
Thank you, Sarah. And now I will hand it over to Joel to talk about youth engagement from the Leslie County Community Foundation.
So I'm just going to talk about some of the programs that we do here in Leslie County. Since we started our community foundation, we've kind of had the plan to involve youth in different ways. So we'll just kind of walk through some of those. We can go to the next slide. Since we started, maybe after the first year, we have made it a point to have a student representative on our board. So we have at least one, and at some points we've had two Leslie County High School students acting as a voting member of our board. They have full voting rights just like any other board member. We did that so we would just get a different perspective. You know, there's a lot of middle-aged older folks on our board, and we wanted to get a youth perspective. They have a lot of different ideas that we might not know about, so we wanted to make sure we captured those. We've partnered with the high school, and the way we initially would select those students is we would have them write essays about projects in the community, things that they were concerned about, things they wanted to work on, and we do a blind reading of those. And then we'll talk about place here in a minute. That's kind of how we go about that now. But we've seen some tremendous success with these student representatives so far. We've had engineers, healthcare workers. They've gone into successful sales careers. We've still got some in college, obviously. The student rep we've got right now is a fantastic young man who started the agriculture program at our high school. So he's actually an ag commissioner in the county. So that's been great. I love having a young person sit on our board and give us feedback and tell us what's going on with that generation. Go ahead, next slide, please. That's kind of what we're talking about, you know, that unique perspective. Getting to hear from them. One of the things that they talked about, we had no idea, was the issue of couch surfing that's been going on the past 5-10 years with our youth in Leslie County. We don't have your traditional homeless in the sense that there's people out sleeping on the street, things like that. But a lot of our kids had issues of just going from house to house, sleeping on couches. So that's something that we learned about and have tried to start addressing. The first big issue that the high school group Place addressed was having a cleaning facility in the high school. They saw that some of their students did not have the ability to wash their clothes. So they raised funds and had worked with the school to install washers and dryers in an unused classroom at the school. So they were very, very successful with that. Okay, go on the next slide, please. So PLACE is our junior board. I'll tell you a quick story. PLACE stands for Philanthropy, Leadership, Advocacy, Community, and Engagement. We were at a strategic plan, and we were talking about different ways to activate our youth. And I'm big on acronyms, and I started thinking about leadership, culture, philanthropy, and I wrote down CLAP. And I took to our board, I said, what if we have a group called CLAP? And one of my board members said, Joel, we're not having teenagers be in a clap party. We're just not going to do it. So we came up with PLACE. as a different acronym. But this is a group that's at our high school. One of the teachers there, she teaches history and civics, is their student sponsor, and they're an official club at the high school. And they do their own fundraising. They make their own grants. They have their own programming. When they do a grant, our board just acts as kind of a rubber stamp, and the money flows in and out that way. So far, they've had two big projects in the past year. I told you about the cleanliness project. Since that time, they have started an arts festival that they're running. This will be, they just finished the second one this year. So that was really successful. And then their other project, they've noticed that reading engagement with male students has been a real issue. A lot of their parents are teachers in this group. So what they've done is they've started working on a digital solution to activate and engage with younger students, particularly males, and get high interest reading materials for them. So they're working with software developers. Some of them are very tech savvy, and they're trying to develop a free app where they can get public domain or free stuff for those kids. Yeah, there we go. Let's talk about the two teams. So they raised over $500 during their arts event, and so yeah, the interactive app is really neat. We try as a Leslie County board to offer advice when we can. And one thing they had not considered was copyright and public domain issues, because they were just going to start grabbing books off the shelf and digitizing them. And we know that we can't do that. So that's actually opened up another opportunity to partner with the creative writing program at the high school, so they can start writing their own program, or writing their own material. So that's been great. But yeah, the Place kids are really good. They act as volunteers in the community. Logan, our student representative, is the chairman of Place. So the students recommend the student board represents the representative that comes to our board. So that's been a fantastic relationship. Go ahead to the next slide, please. There you see all the Place kids there at Wendover. Wendover is one of our charities that we work with. They came up and presented to the Chamber of Commerce, and like I said, it's an investment that continues to pay dividends. We can go to the next slide. Another program that we started doing is our biggest fundraiser of the year is called Local Treasures. We stole that from Jackson County, and it is a night where we recognize Leslie Countyans who've made a significant contribution to the community. It started out as a Lifetime Achievement Award, and we looked at older folks in the community. But last year we wanted to kind of expand our scope. One, to bring in a wider audience and sell more tickets, but another just to recognize more of the community. And one of those categories was Young Person of the Year. And last year, a couple young ladies who are mural artists won that. They've done several murals here in the community. And so that's a way for us to recognize folks that are a little older than high school students. So we're not engaging with them at the high school level, but they're not, starting to gray like me and some of the folks on our board. So that's been a really good thing. And we just announced yesterday the second Young Person of the Year. She works for the school board here. She's the school psychologist and the ladies track coach. So she's fantastic. Next slide. This is my last slide. I will tell you one thing I forgot to put in here. I didn't even think about it, but Sarah was mentioning scholarships. One of our biggest funds is for the Kentucky School of Bluegrass and Traditional Music. We've done over $50,000 in scholarships for schools, for the students to go to the Bluegrass School. Most of them attend tuition free to go to that school and learn about bluegrass and Appalachian culture. So that's a big program that we're doing for youth that I hadn't even considered until you mentioned scholarships. So we're really proud of that. But we just try to activate and engage with young folks as much as we can. A lot of us working with charities and civic groups, we kind of get in our little silos and don't consider anybody except the folks we see every day. I know I'm guilty of that. So having these younger folks and getting different perspectives has been fantastic. It's been really good for all of us. If anybody's got any questions, there's my email, there's my phone number. Always glad to talk to anybody, brag on these kids. They do a fantastic job.
Thank you so much, Joel. Glad to learn more about how LCCF is engaging with youth in Leslie County. That's awesome work. So just to transition a bit here, as I mentioned earlier, I would ask you all a few questions. And so just some guiding questions for you all to think about. And we do have a few minutes for you all to respond. So Jess and Joe in particular, if you have any thoughts on this, feel free to speak on it. No pressure. But you see the questions and I'll read them out here. What strategies were particularly effective for Leslie County? So, and Joel, if you want to speak on that too, but from the folks in the audience, did you notice any strategies that seemed particularly effective?
Well, I think
And
it's,
yeah,
oh, sorry.
Go
It
ahead.
seems pretty clear that having the youth representative is obviously, you found a whole issue that you would not have done otherwise. That is really impactful, because I think it can also be easy in philanthropy to do things that people don't feel on a day-to-day difference if they're not thinking about it. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
This is another
definitely.
issue that we've bumped up against, and just inviting the kids to the meetings, and actively engaging with them. I get, this is a big frustration of mine. Folks will say, nobody wants to listen to me. Nobody cares what I have to say. That whole issue of I don't have a seat at the table. I'm sure you guys are the same. I want everybody to come and help. We need all the help we can get. We need all the ideas we can get. Everybody's got a seat. Everybody's got a voice. So by actively engaging in the kids and saying, no, we want to know what you have to say. We want you to get involved. They felt empowered, and then they would offer more ideas and more suggestions. So that was great. So just actively saying, here, come and help, come and tell us what you have to think, made a huge difference. And some of these kids would just, they were like wallflowers in the corner, and we would call them out and say, what do you think about this? Share your ideas. They would literally open up, and some of the best ideas came from those kids that just at first felt uncomfortable and didn't want to share it all. So just engaging with them was great.
Also, I'm just super impressed with the 2 projects from the place group, which again, those are things you never would have even known was an issue unless you were engaging with the kids to find out what's going on in the school. But then also here you are supporting them and giving them a space to say, okay, hey, we're gonna trust you that this is an issue and we're gonna help you support this project. I'm super impressed. And I think that's awesome that, I saw Logan, the student representative, was in the place group. So the place group empowered them enough to feel confident enough that, okay, I can sit at the table with adults, which I may never typically do, and I feel comfortable enough to share my opinion. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, any other thoughts, Melanie or anyone else? Okay. Hearing
Did
none.
Have
Oh,
trouble, sorry.
go ahead.
We're now starting kind of like our youth board stuff. And surprisingly, they're not excited to be invited to meetings. So like, did you do anything to like help them realize it was going to be worth it? You know what I mean? Like, how did you get them to actually show up?
So the first thing we did is we had a community-wide, like a community action week, where we did a bunch of stuff. We had dinners, we had meetings, we had city tours, and we invited everybody. We had everybody from the county judge to the mayor, school board, and the students were involved in that. And then one of those meetings was student specific and student led. So that way they could talk about the specific issues that they were dealing with. So they took ownership of it. And they saw that they were a part of a bigger whole. And that helped a lot. It also helped activating the teachers. So like on that level, they were like, the teachers almost help us sell it. They were like, guys, this is a big deal. This is really good. And I think part of it was they told them that this would help them on scholarships, like community service, things like that. So they saw some financial benefit, honestly. Um, so yeah, just finding ways to motivate them like that. Um, and once they've gotten involved and seen like how good it is to do this kind of community work, um, we've not bumped up on it as much, and now we have kids asking to be in place. But getting over that first hurdle was an issue. We had to kind of convince them that it was worth their time and effort. But once we got it going, it's kind of been self-propelling.
I love this. Would you, is there somewhere I can find, or would you care to share the Community Action Week info? That's really, I've never thought about it that way. Of making,
I have my notes somewhere in my laptop. If you'll shoot me an email so I have your contact info, I will go through. We did that with Shane Barton with
Okay.
SETIC help us put that together.
Okay.
So
We love
Yeah, we love
if you
Shane.
ask him, I mean, he's the one who, I mean, I did kind of the legwork, but he did the brainstorming. So we did 4 events. All of them involve food because folks like to come and eat. But yeah, it was a great week. It was a great week.
I love that. I've never heard somebody kind of pitch it as like a get involved festival, essentially. Like, I love that thought. That's very cool. Thank you.
I'll add
Great.
something too. And Zach, I don't know if you want to talk about this too. So we have some new interns we had in Hazard this summer. And I think they were all sophomores and juniors in high school. But Zach and I were able to have a conversation with them. And me personally, 26, I don't really engage with high school students that much. But I was asking them, like, what are you all needing, or what are your senior needs? And a big need they were saying is that we don't feel like we're prepared for college. We don't feel like our classes prepare us to know what we want to do for a career. But something else they were saying is they're like, they said it's really scary to talk to adults. I just feel very scared. And I was like, I said, sometimes adult, you feel scared, you still feel scared. You just have to go out there and just pretend. But they were like, adults are just so intimidating. And I don't know if Zach wants to add anything about that. Zach used to be a teacher in the school system. But that was interesting to me because I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just goes back to the approach that Joel had of just being purposeful and how you ask them questions and you make sure that they feel like they're being heard. And that really opens up a lot of the connection to them.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for sharing related to that first question. And I think we've touched on, in a way, the second question, which is, what is your community already doing well in this area of focus? And Jess, you mentioned that you're just starting that work in Estill County and possibly with the Red River Gorge Community Foundation. Missy, I didn't say your name correctly a moment ago, but if you have any thoughts here, any mention of what's going on in Floyd County, I'd love to hear from you. Again, no pressure. And then the last question is, what can you take back to your affiliate board to advance your work in this area if it is a priority? And so Joel has some resources about, or notes about what has been done in Leslie County. And so
if you guys
reach out to
are
him.
interested in a youth group like place, we've got the initial concept document that we put together. I can send stuff like that to you. It's just sort of our big brainstorming session. We put that down into a concept. I don't know how useful it would be, but it's got some stuff in there you could look at. I'd be happy to share that too.
Joel, could you share that with me? I'll put my email address in the chat and I can send that out to the entire group of folks
I
who
will do
registered.
that.
Thank you so much.
It might take me a little time to find it. That goes back a couple years, but we'll dig that up.
That's okay.
That you had asked me earlier what we were doing. We have really not done that much in this area as we should have. We, prior to everything that happened with the flooding, and then we had the tragic shooting here in June of 22, and then the flooding that happened in July. We honestly, God, I think, kind of steered away from focusing on this as we should have. We were originally thinking about how we could add youth to our board and how we could get get more youth involved. So I've enjoyed this. This helps hopefully to get us back thinking in this mindset.
Wonderful. Thank you, Missy.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts before we move on? Next up is a presentation from Kaylee, who's the scholarship director at the foundation, but wanted to pause and see if there's any more thoughts or questions. Okay. All right, hearing none, we'll keep it moving here. All right, so I'll hand it off here to Kaylee Fletcher.
Okay, my name's Kaylee, and I'm the scholarship director for the foundation. I've been with the foundation for going on 6 years. I love doing scholarships. I think they are so rewarding, and they can really make an impact on the students that we're supporting. We can go to the next slide. So the foundation currently has 11 different scholarship funds. All of our funds right now are for students graduating from specific high schools or from specific home counties. But aside from that, all the scholarship funds are completely unique. Just to give an example, this year we gave scholarship awards ranging from a $225 award being the smallest all the way up to a $15,000 renewable award. But even those small awards can make a difference for a student. In most cases, that money goes directly to the school to be applied to their tuition bill. But in a handful of cases, that scholarship money can be sent directly to the student to help them pay for things like textbooks or gas money, those other expenses that don't show up on a tuition bill. So this year for the 2024-25 academic year, we have awarded over $1 million in scholarships to 177 students. So that's pretty awesome. So let's talk about what it takes to start a scholarship fund and how scholarships work. So scholarship funds can be started with an initial donation of $25,000. We can work with a little bit less than that and build up to $25,000. But that's kind of a starting point. And scholarship funds do have a 1.5% administration fee. So starting with that, the donor would then set the criteria for the scholarship. So there are lots of different ways that scholarships can be set up to really target the type of student that you want to support. So like I said, all the scholarships we have currently are for students graduating from a specific high school or high schools in a specific county. So that's really common. You can also make the scholarship just for students who want to attend a specific college or who want to major in a specific field. GPA is a very common criteria for scholarship funds, which would be like setting a minimum GPA to apply. You can also look for students who participate in certain activities. So for example, if a donor wanted to help a student who does a lot of community service, that's something that you can specify as well. So like I said, there are a lot of different ways that you can customize and personalize a scholarship fund, and those are just examples. Scholarships can also be set as a one-time or a renewable award. So one-time is just like it sounds. It'll be a scholarship that's given 1 year. The student will get one lump sum one time, and renewable scholarships are typically given for the full 4 years that the student is in college. So they'll get an award their freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, given that they are still in school and are meeting the renewal requirements. So usually all renewable scholarships have a certain expectation of academic good standing or a certain GPA in order to renew that scholarship every year. So once all the criteria is set and we know exactly how the scholarship's going to operate, I'll take that and we'll create an application for the scholarship. So we'll make sure that we get all of the relevant information that we need. We'll always take their transcript and then we'll look at that criteria. So if we say there is a financial need component to the scholarship, we'll make sure we get that student's FAFSA. if there is a community service interest, we'll make sure that we get a log of their service hours. So anything like that to make sure we've got a full picture of the student and we know everything we need to know when we're evaluating those applications. Usually applications will also have an essay or a short answer. And this is where you can kind of get creative and get to the heart of the scholarship. So say, for example, the donor wants to give the scholarship to someone who's going to go to college and then come back and support their community. Maybe you would ask something like, where do you see Eastern Kentucky in 10 years? Or maybe you ask something like, what do you plan to do with your degree? And how will you use that in the future to support your community? We even have one scholarship fund that does interviews for scholarship applicants, which I wouldn't recommend for every scholarship fund because it is time consuming. But if you're giving very large awards or a lot of awards, it's a really good way to get to meet the student face to face and kind of get to know them on a better level than just what's on their application. So those are a lot of fun. But once we've got the scholarship application set up and everyone's happy with it, we will go ahead and open that up to accept new applications. All of our scholarship applications are online. It's really easy for the students to be able to log on and start and finish their application whenever is convenient to them, and then just upload all of those materials virtually. So that's been really great. And then we'll make sure that that scholarship is promoted everywhere it needs to be. If it's a scholarship that's specific to a high school, usually the guidance counselors are really great with making sure that the seniors know about the opportunity and can help us get a lot of applications and the students know when those are due. We'll also promote the scholarships on our social media channels. And we've had a lot of success in the last couple of years getting a lot of applications that way and getting more every year. So scholarships applications are usually open for about 8 weeks, give or take, depending on how and when they're set up. But once we feel like we've got a good pool of applicants, we'll close that application, and then those submitted applications go to the selection committee to review. So selection committees can be set up 2 ways. The first way is that the fund advisor appoints a committee. So for example, we have one donor who started a scholarship fund and set his daughters and granddaughters as the selection committee. So they review those applications every year and make the decisions. The other way is that the selection committee is left in the hands of the affiliate board. So one example that I'm going to talk about more here in a minute is the Bertie Atkins Scholarship in Floyd County. It's for Betsy Lane High School, and the Floyd County Community Foundation Board has an awesome scholarship committee that reviews those applications every year and scores them and makes the selections on who will receive those scholarships. Applications are reviewed online, the same place they've been submitted, and it's been really simple for everyone to read and score those applications. Once everyone submitted their scores, the whole selection committee can review and discuss together to make those final calls. And then once those recipients are finalized, I will notify the student. Usually someone from the affiliate board or the selection committee will go to the high school senior award night, present a certificate, and get to meet the students and give them a congrats. And then I take it from there and just make sure we've got everything we need from the student so we know which college they're going to attend and their student ID number and all that kind of stuff so we can make sure the money goes to the right place. We can go to the next slide. And then just to close out, I want to talk about one of our oldest scholarship funds, if not the oldest fund at the foundation currently, which is the Dr. Bertie and Retta Faye Atkins Scholarship, which is at the Floyd County Community Foundation. And if you don't know the story of Bertie, he was a professor at Eastern Kentucky University, but he grew up in Floyd County. And when he first went to college, he ended up having to drop out because he couldn't afford bus fare to get to class every day. After that, he joined the Army, went back to school, and later in life, when he was ready to give, he created the scholarship fund because he wanted to support students from his home high school that might be going through the same thing he was, where they want the education, they want to go to school, but couldn't afford to get there. So this scholarship fund was opened in 2016 with an initial donation of $50,000 endowed. And since then, the last 8 years, we've given over $22,000 in scholarships from that fund, which is awesome. And the value today now stands at almost $75,000. So that's the great thing about endowed scholarships like this is this fund is going to continue to grow. and it will continue to be able to support students from Betsy Lane and Bertie's mission forever. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. And I actually have a question. I'm just curious to know if the foundation has ever been in a position, or if it's appropriate for the foundation to advise on splitting scholarships. I just know from experience at the high school I graduated from, there was a larger scholarship awarded, and it was really competitive between the top two, and so they decided to divide it. And also wonder, is there any general advice around like making sure that no one person receives an overload, so to speak, of scholarship awards?
Right. So for the split question, I think that would be up to the selection committee and to the fund advisor, how they want to handle that. I've not seen that happen personally, but I could definitely see a situation where that would be possible. And then over awarding can definitely happen when you're giving really large scholarship awards. So we have one fund in particular that gives pretty large awards, and we ask for financial aid verification before they start the school year. So we send a form to them to send to their school's financial aid office, and they'll just confirm their charges and then what any other financial aid that they've gotten. So we know that that money is not going to over award and basically go into the school's pocket. We want to make sure that that money supports the student.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions or thoughts from anyone else? Okay. Here is Kaylee's email address for contact. And looks like she has more information about a planned giving boot camp, webinars, and resources. So there's her email address if you would like to learn more. And just as we close here, and we still have several minutes, but it looks like we'll wrap up early. Wanted to remind you all of the remaining schedule. So today's meeting is in the schedule here, and then our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September 19th at 11 a.m. We have changed the registration process. We initially started with one registration for the series, but we weren't able to track registrants for each event. And so we set up separate registrations for each session in the series. And so the link for the next session is right there in that lower right gold box. Register for the series at the tiny URL /FAKY September. And if you have any questions, you can direct those to Leah Van Winkle at her email address there. Let's see if I have any additional thoughts in my notes here. Yeah, so be sure to get registered for the next session if you're interested, and remember that even though you registered for the entire series previously, you need to do the registration for each individual session. And with that, we're well ahead of time, but I think we've gone through everything. Any last thoughts or questions from anyone before we close? Okay.
This is stuff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to publicly shame everybody that should have been here and hasn't made it, because this is really good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe.
I'm just super grateful to be a part of Leslie County Community Foundation, a small part, and just part of all this organization as a whole.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone who presented, and thank you everyone who registered and showed up and participated here today. Thank you all, and I hope to see you all at the next session in September. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Colby.